on today's episode of PolicyWise.
Whether it's economic divisions, political divisions, racial divisions, that service can really be a tool and an important avenue to bring people together.
One thing that I personally got to work a little bit on, and I think falls into this idea that California Volunteers is being called upon in so many different ways, is the CaliforniansForAll response to COVID-19.
Californians for All is something we're very proud of, because despite the fact that our name is California Volunteers, prior to this governor and me starting this job, our office actually didn't really engage in volunteer activity.
It was really inspiring as someone who was working on like kind of the grassroots level of it, to get to see it work from the top down.
Every single one of us was impacted by COVID. It was a situation where everyone could step up and make a difference in some way. If you commit to serve while you're in school for a year in your community, we're going to help you pay for school with $10,000 scholarship.
But more on that later.
Welcome to PolicyWise, a Youth Leadership Institute podcast. In 1963, President Clinton required the governor of each state to create and appoint a commission to administer the new AmeriCorps program. In 2006, the reach of California's commissions was expanded by Governor Schwarzenegger to respond to disasters and recovery. Now called California Volunteers, the state office is tasked with engaging Californians in services, volunteering, and civic action to tackle our state's most pressing challenges, while mobilizing all Californians to volunteer and serve their communities. Here with me today is the head of California Volunteers, Chief Service Officer Josh Fryday. Welcome.
Thank you. So fun to be here.
So just to get us started, we're really excited to have you. Would you give us a bit of an introduction to yourself? We know that, as most appointed folks, there's a lot more history than the current role that they're sitting in. So we'd love to hear some more.
Well, I appreciate that, and it's really fun to be here in this important topic. So thank you, Demi, for inviting us on. I've always, my entire life, I've been passionate about service, and I've always wanted to serve. I've always thought that it was the best way to make change and deal with some of the injustices in our world. And so I'm very lucky that I get to have this really cool title called Chief Service Officer for the state of California, which is pretty unique. And it's exciting. And I got here because I think I saw through some of my service throughout my life, whether that was as mayor of the town I grew up in Northern California, or as serving as an officer in the United States Navy overseas, deployed or involved in presidential campaigns and other efforts. I think I saw or felt that we just, in a democratic society, have not provided enough opportunities for others to serve in the same way that I got to serve. And so I started thinking about this a lot and started writing about it and getting involved in different ways to create opportunities for people to serve and step up and be a part of the system. And luckily we have a governor, Gavin Newsom, who shares that vision and wanted to do something big in California. So here I am talking to you.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you so much for being on. It is a really, really special and really wonderful to hear from you. I think it's going to be something that we want to touch on in this episode, is your past history with military service and how that relates to your role in volunteering. But before we get into that, I do want to ask a little bit about California Volunteers and how it is currently being looked at as a priority of Governor Newsom, and how maybe that's changed since he has become governor.
Yeah, so the work that we do at California Volunteers to really try to engage communities, mobilize people around taking action on big issues like climate change and poverty and disasters is something that Governor Newsom is incredibly passionate about. He thinks it's absolutely critical for a healthy democracy. He thinks it's absolutely critical for us to deal with some of the divisions that we all feel in our society, whether it's economic divisions, political divisions, racial divisions. That service can really be a tool and an important avenue to bring people together. So he's invested an incredible amount into our office and into the work that we're trying to lead around the state. And he's really the first governor in California to invest state resources to complement the federal resources we receive from AmeriCorps to expand service opportunities for all kinds of people in every community to be able to tackle some of our biggest challenges. So in addition to making my position a cabinet level position, which really allows us to sit at the table with every other state agency on every other state priority and have a place at that table to make sure that how we think about engaging people and mobilizing people is always part of the equation and as our state responds to our big challenges. He's invested resources into it, and he's used his platform as governor to really call on people to take action, to step up and serve. And that's something that I think we haven't seen enough of in generations here in America. And so I just feel really lucky to be here at a time when we have a governor that's as passionate as he is.
One thing that I personally got to work a little bit on, and I think falls into this idea that California Volunteers is being called upon in so many different ways, is the Californians for All response to COVID-19. Could you touch a little bit on that effort and maybe talk about, we know how it started, but maybe where it is now and how it's evolved since it started?
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, this is something you were part of, so we give you all the credit for it, Demi, for helping us get
All
here.
of it,
But
yeah.
and it's well deserved. Californians for All is something we're very proud of because despite the fact that our name is California Volunteers, prior to this governor and me starting this job, our office actually didn't really engage in volunteer activity. We had service opportunities through AmeriCorps, but we hadn't really thought about in I think a systematic and holistic way, how do we engage people everywhere to be able to participate and be able to help each other out? And COVID really presented a situation where not only did it impact everyone, right? Every single one of us was impacted by COVID, no matter who you were or where you were. But we actually saw it as an opportunity where it was a situation where everyone could step up and make a difference in some way, whether it was knocking on your neighbor's door to make sure that they had food or groceries, or calling a friend to make sure they weren't isolated and disconnected, or volunteering at a food bank, or giving blood when there were shortages, or making masks. There's literally something for everyone to do. And that posed a unique opportunity for the governor to use his platform, along with California Volunteers, to create this exciting new initiative, Californians for All, that you were an instrumental part of. That I think really for the first time did a statewide call to action, and we saw a tremendous response. We saw people step up from all parts of the states, all demographics, raising their hands to want to help. And really stepping up and meeting the moment in an inspiring way. And everything we're doing now is building on that framework of how do we mobilize all Californians to take action. And so it was exciting to start it. I think that's one of the examples of some of the silver linings or opportunities that arise in a crisis. And I think we certainly, when it comes to mobilizing people, engaging people, we certainly met the moment with our Californians for All initiative.
It was such a rapid response, and I think it was really inspiring as someone who was, working on like kind of the grassroots level of it, to get to see it work from the top down, and also taking so much advice from what's happening on the ground and really trying to like work together to build the big system that it is now. So yeah, really, really happy to have gotten a part of it and learned so much from you and everyone else. I want to focus on something that Michael and I have just been extremely excited about, and this is the announcement of College Corps. I couldn't be happier. I think when I was with California Volunteers, communicating with universities was like the top of my mind, just because I had recently come out of it. So I want to learn a little bit more about how these relationships with universities came to be, where this idea came from, and then we'll get into some of the details of how youth can get involved.
Yeah, so you're referring to the College Corps program that we just announced, and I like to call this the California GI Bill. And the idea is super simple, but also super powerful, which is if you commit to serve while you're in school for a year in your community, we're going to help you pay for school with $10,000 scholarship and stipend. And this is going to allow us to create debt-free pathways for low-income students all across the state. to be able to serve their community, to be able to start a career of purpose and service, to be able to gain incredible professional skills, whether you're working in climate change or food insecurity or in education, dealing with their education disparities. And our goal is sort of pretty straightforward, we think, which is we have a dual crisis in this country. We have a crisis of student debt, which we know is saddling a whole generation of young people coming out, graduating in debt or unable to finish college because of the amount of debt they have to take out. And we also have a crisis of our democracy where people are divided and people feel a lack of agency, and people feel disengaged and disempowered. And our hope is with the College Corps program, this really exciting program we announced with the UC system, the CSU system, and the community college system, that we're going to be able to create a whole new generation of civic-minded young leaders who are able to going to start their career, hopefully being purpose-driven and purpose-minded, and are going to be able to graduate college with less debt. So in our minds, it's a total win-win-win-win. It's a win for the university. It's a win for the student. It's a win for the communities who are going to benefit from this service that's going to be done. And it's also a benefit for and a win for society, but because we're going to be bringing people together and teaching them the tools to how to work across differences to solve problems in our society. And we're also doing this in a way that we're very proud about in California, which is to be as inclusive as we possibly can be. So this is the first time that any formal service program is going to include AB 540 eligible dreamers who are able to participate in the program. And that's because AmeriCorps members, because it's federally funded, are actually excluded. Dreamers are excluded from participating in the program. This governor and this legislature made sure that we, with this new College Corps program, included dreamers, which we're very proud about and excited about. And again, I think demonstrates the power of service, which is we can bring people together from all different backgrounds, no matter where you're from, no matter what you believe, and have you work together to solve problems that we need help with. And so we're super excited, as you can I hope tell. We think it's very powerful. We hope this becomes, as the governor said when he launched this, a model for the nation. And we hope it inspires people to continue to serve for years to come.
I want to get into some of the logistics, just like figuring out who can apply for this. Thinking if I was, maybe a high school student right now, graduating senior, or if maybe I'm in college, who is eligible for this? Is it, people beforehand, after college? When can you apply?
So for you, Demi, you'll be happy to hear that if you are a student at Fresno State, you will be eligible to apply. We have partnered with 45 universities across the state, which include community colleges, CSUs, and UCs, who applied to be part of the program in this initial cohort. And if you are a student at the campus, you're able to apply. We are targeting and trying to be very intentional about making sure this program is available to low-income students. So the $10,000 that is available for those who commit to doing a year of service while you're in school, which is a unique part of this program, that we're targeting people who are in school because we want to keep you on track to graduate and we want to start you off on your career in service. That $10,000 represents the gap that a Pell Grant recipient has to come up with every year, either by taking out loans, which is why they go into debt, or by working. And I had to work. I worked at a golf course, cleaning golf carts when I was a Pell Grant recipient in college. Many other people have to find jobs all over the place. And our hope is that we can create these service opportunities where you're gaining social capital, you're building social networks, you're gaining professional skills while you're helping the community, and we can help you pay for college and keep you on track to graduate at the same time.
Awesome. And how many hours is that? What would a year of service look like?
The way we've structured the program is 450 hours over the academic year. So what that works out to be, and we were very intentional about this, is about 15 hours a week. And that's because we wanted people to be able to, who did the program, stay focused on graduating on time, stay focused on their schooling. So it's 15 hours a week over the academic year, 450 hours total. And then many of the schools that are participating are wrapping a service learning curriculum around the program. So you're actually also receiving credit as you're doing it. And then you're doing a lot of the really critical reflection and analyzing about what does it mean to serve? What does it mean to be in a democracy? What does it mean to be an active citizen? So there's a lot of programming and training and curriculum that's built around the actual service as well.
Okay. And what does that calculate out to? I'm just doing the math over here. If you're doing 450 hours, $10,000, that's like, I don't know, close to, I don't know, over $22 an hour it works out to, which is like a great, a great deal, probably non-taxed. Wow. So very exciting, especially for a college student. I would have greatly benefited from this. So it's so happy that it's happening. It's also great to hear how intentional the partnerships are being on university campuses to work with curriculum, with certain service offices. I think one of the things that I saw as like the lowest hanging fruit in like some of the university systems and different statewide systems is just like the pulling systems together, pulling people together. There's so many people who want to help, so just making everyone work on the same system. So it's great to hear that this is all happening.
It's a new word that I learned, intersegmental, which means we're taking all the different segments and we're bringing them together. And it's something the governor talked about when we launched the program, that it's a really important piece of this, that we are bringing these different systems together, again, to show that we can that we can bring people together from different backgrounds to work together to solve problems, and that we have to do that. If we're actually going to solve some of our biggest issues, we have to be intersegmental in everything that we're doing. And so we hope to be modeling that in a great way with this program.
That's a great word. I'm gonna have to enter into my vocabulary. It's somewhere like kind of like intersectional, kind of like interdisciplinary, a little bit of that. It has a more of a systematic feel. So very cool. I want to get back to this idea because it's something that I don't think a lot of us think of when we're considering volunteering on its own. And this is the idea of like connectedness and bringing people together, which I do feel is very central to Governor Newsom's inspiration behind this, and likely yours as well. So I wanted to get kind of like a better understanding of how that has theorized and where you see California volunteers in order to build that goal of bringing people together from different backgrounds.
Yeah, well, we see volunteering and civic engagement and serving as being absolutely core to our entire society. I mean, our entire democratic system is built on the idea that we're going to serve each other, that we're going to help each other, and we're going to do what's best for each other. And so we think that the work that we're doing is actually critical to strengthening our entire democracy, which is why, as we look at our democracies, we analyze what's going on right now, and you don't have to analyze too deeply to see how divided we are and the polarization that's happening. We recognize we have to figure out ways to bridge people, to create common experiences again, where people see their common humanity and understand their common values. And I think we've seen throughout history, and this is certainly my experience personally as an officer in the Navy, where you are put with people who think very differently than you, from very different parts of the country than you, in a unit around a mission and a common purpose. And you solve great things together. You accomplish great things together. And I think we've seen throughout history that service has this incredibly powerful ability to bring people together and have you focused on what you actually have in common. And we need to create more of these opportunities for our society. Otherwise, the division's going to get deeper, the polarization's going to get stronger, and that doesn't leave any of us in a good place. So we're very focused on at California Volunteers, whether it's creating our neighbor-to-neighbor program, so you get to know your neighbor better, so you can help your neighbors sees you as someone that has a commonality, obviously, other than the fact that you just live together, but you can actually talk together, you have similar values. Or to our college program that we just discussed, where we're going to be taking college students from different parts of the states, different backgrounds, different perspectives, and we're going to be having them not just work together, but doing very intentional bridging exercises about thinking about what it means to live in a democratic society, to be able to deliberate with respect, and so we're looking at this at many different levels, but I think at the core of it is for democracy to work, people have to be able to work together. People have to be able to come together and compromise and respect each other. And service and volunteering, we think, and the governor thinks, is a powerful, powerful tool to help us get there.
It's really inspiring, and it's very interesting to hear this kind of like communal approach to service and seeing it in such like a practical way. I think there's I don't know, I've personally been fed a lot of things about, you do something because it makes you feel good, or you do something else because it's what you have to do, and it's a constant kind of grind to like do whatever you can do. And I don't think that we get a ton of dialogue about working together and getting into the community. And I think coming out of COVID specifically, this will be a really important opportunity for everyone, and specifically lots of students who've lost like that integral time of socializing at this time. And I hope that this continues for like a lot of students out of college, because if someone who's, out of college, the lack of community that you can get in this age, I think, volunteering is something that I hope many other people are turning to as a way to build back. So hopefully this kind of gets in the mindset of a lot of youth that, this is a good way to continue to connect to people.
Well, we hope you're right, and we're certainly trying. We also have many programs that we haven't talked about that is geared to young people who are coming out of college or are not college track. We created the country's first statewide climate corps called the California Climate Action Corps to basically create opportunities, whether you have an hour to give or a year to give, to take climate action, which is so important. It's one of the existential threats of our time. And so we create a fellowship for people to spend a year doing climate organizing in low-income communities throughout California. And that's just one example. But the truth is, in our message that we try to send to young people, and we are working, and we need your help, which is why we appreciate being on this show to get the word out that California needs you. That yes, volunteering it makes you feel good. There's a lot of research we could talk about the psychological and the health and the mental benefits of volunteering, of being connected in your community, of serving. And it certainly does make you feel good. There's also a lot of science and research about that. But the truth is, we actually need you to step up. We need people. We need young people. We need this next generation to be involved if we're going to have any shot at solving climate change. If we have any shot at dealing with the economic inequality in our society that's ripping us apart, or any shot at dealing with our homeless crisis, or any of the other many crises we feel. So we're hoping the message gets out that we need people to step up, and that there's now we're creating the opportunities for people to do that. And I think that's what's unique about what we're trying to do in California, and what Governor Newsom has led the effort on.
Would you mind sharing a little bit more about Climate Corps?
The idea is simple. We wanted to create a culture of climate action here in California. And of course, that starts with major policy. And of course, that starts with doing big systems change around how we use energy and what our transportation systems look like. But the reality is that there's literally something that everyone can do to have an impact on us dealing with climate change and fighting climate change. And the problem, and I come out of the climate movement, we haven't talked about it yet, but I ran an organization, a leading climate advocacy organization called Next Gen Climate. And what I learned is that people who are passionate and want to take action around climate, which are a lot of people, especially young people, too often just don't know what to do, and don't feel empowered that they can, as an individual, make an impact. And it's simply not true. There's something that all of us can do that is really meaningful. So we created the Climate Action Corps to create an opportunity. Like I said, whether you have an hour or a year to give, we're creating opportunities for you. Our fellowship, if you do it for a year, you receive a stipend and then a $10,000 scholarship to either pay down your college debt or use it if you decide to go to college in the future. And you're going to be organizing a lot of activities to engage communities around urban tree planting, especially in areas that have been underinvested in historically, urban greening, urban farming. We're doing a lot of fire mitigation work, home hardening, clearing defensible space. And also, and this was interesting, this is what I learned along the way. I didn't realize this in the beginning, but a lot of food recovery work. There's a new law in California that's mandating local governments to be much more aggressive in food recovery, not just because it helps us deal with our food insecurity, but more importantly, a lot of the food that from restaurants, grocery stores, but also from our individual place at home end up in a landfill that actually contributes a significant amount of greenhouse gases. So what we're trying to do is take these major issues like climate and break it down into really digestible actions that people can take, whether they're at home or they're on volunteering on a weekend, or if they can be an organizer for a year to help be part of the solution. And so far, it's been very exciting. We have more people apply than we have spots for. And I think we've seen a lot of momentum around this. But obviously, it's a big issue, and we got to keep building it, and we got to keep spreading it around the country.
I'm thinking a lot about like Climate Corps and College Corps, and I'm wondering how your role as mayor, as part of like a local government, as kind of like just closer in that way, how that has kind of impacted the way that you view volunteering and the way that you've decided to take on this role.
Yeah, I appreciate that question. I think it maybe in two ways. One is in really understanding at the local level that people want to be engaged, that people care deeply about their neighborhood, they care deeply about their community everywhere, no matter who you are, what demographic. And as a mayor of a smaller town, you can see that. You can see how much people care and care about each other. So we too often get caught up in a national narrative, I think, of how divided we are, of how different we are from each other. And the truth is that people want to take care of their community. And I think I couple that with the second learning lesson of we, and when I say we, I mean government leaders have just simply not done a good enough job in thinking about how to engage all of our citizens and residents to be part of the solution. I think we've got caught into a trap of whether you're a mayor thinking that you're going to solve everything from City Hall, or governor from the Capitol, or president from the White House, and thinking that we could solve our big issues with big ideas and policy alone. And while that's critical, and it absolutely is, in a democracy, it's just simply not sufficient. We have to create avenues for our people to be able to engage in meaningful ways and feel like they're part of that they have stake in what the solutions are. And I just didn't see, I learned this as a mayor, that we weren't equipped to do that. We weren't equipped to think about how to give people the right opportunities to volunteer, to help us with some of our, whether it's our homeless issues or environmental issues that we were trying to grapple with. And so it taught me, and I think showed me, that government, and it starts with our leaders, which is why it's so significant what Governor Newsom has done and what he's invested in. It starts with our leaders prioritizing creating opportunities, and really wanting to engage people. And I think for too long, government has shied away from that because it's hard. It's hard work. And it's easier to say, as a leader, I'm just going to create this policy and you're going to do what I say. And that's the rule and that's it. And then walk away. That's the easy thing to do. The problem is that doesn't really work in a democracy. And I think we're seeing that now. People get frustrated by that. They feel disempowered. And we have to change that. And I got to see that up close as a mayor.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I guess my final question, and you've touched on this a bit. If you had like one piece of advice to give to policymakers right now, and then one piece of advice that you were going to give to youth, what would those two different things be? And maybe they are the same.
I think they are the same, because it's probably my advice. I guess I would say it would be my life advice for everyone, which is be courageous. Like as a young person, you have plenty of time to be cautious and conservative and anxious. And now is your time to be courageous. because you have to be. We need you to be courageous. We need you to push the envelope and push for change. We need you to be involved, and we need you to be daring. We need you to put yourself out of your comfort zone to meet new people and try new things. And also that's what makes life fun. And that'll give you the most challenging, I think, situations you put yourself in. Those are the ones you remember. Those are the ones that shape you and form you. That certainly might have been my experience. So I think being courageous, and then I think that same message applies to our policymakers. We got really big problems. We can't sugarcoat that. We're facing an existential climate crisis. We're facing inequality that we have never seen in this country. That is just creating social division. That is ripping apart our social fabric. And if policymakers aren't willing to be courageous, and aren't willing to do what's absolutely necessary to meet this moment, then we're failing. And we're letting down the people who have entrusted us, to make an impact. And that's not okay. So I think on all accounts, we need people to be courageous and have the confidence, to do that.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for being one of those leaders who's taking that charge and being courageous. It's been so wonderful to get to hear from you. I really appreciate the extra time and the extra questions. I know you're extremely busy. There's a lot happening in the world. There's a lot happening in California, and there's a lot of volunteering to do.
This was PolicyWise, an intergenerational podcast by Youth Leadership Institute focused on bringing young people into the policy conversation.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at PolicyWisePod. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to discuss, please slide into our DMs or send us an email at policywise@yli.org.
And stay tuned for upcoming episodes.